Today, we're going to be exploring some of the major political governance stories from South Africa this week. And we're asking, will reform in South Africa rise above the rhetoric over the coming months? We will be watching. Joining us for this conversation is Dr Levy Ndou, political analyst. Very good morning and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC, Dr Levy.
Good morning to you, Lisa. Good morning to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
Well, there's a lot that we have to get through. We saw some legal... All right, I think the echo is coming through live. Perhaps you can just reduce the volume and then I'm going to continue with the chat there. I know that there have been some big stories happening this week. Perhaps we can start what happened at the ad hoc committee, right? There were some headline moments this week involving week.Will. And I wonder if we can look at some of the claims, the evidences that have come to the fore, given his testimony. How does it change the narrative of the Madlanga Commission or as well at large? Is it a turning point?
I think it's important to know that the former minister, Mr. Cele, has been the commissioner and the minister, and he would therefore be seen as someone who would be able to differentiate the different roles very, very well. But what I've also observed is that there is a clear difference of understanding of the events that took place in the SAPS. And both Minister Mthunu and Cele differ on the disbandment of the PKTT. In the view of Mr. Mthunu, he felt that that unit had to be disbanded because of a number of reasons that he provided. On the other side, the former minister clearly feels that the PKTT would not have been disbanded, and he also cited his own reasons. But when you look at the issues raised by Minister Mthunu, he said that there are budgetary issues and many other issues that influence his decision to disband the PKTT. Whilst on the other hand, former Minister Cele says that there were other projects that the team still had to undergo, and he felt that if it was him who was at the helm, he wasn't going to disband. Another important aspect that they both differ on would be on how they see things. Minister Mthunu feels that he has not done anything wrong and there is nothing illegal that he did, and he did that within the confinements of his responsibilities as the minister. Whilst on the other side, Cele talks about processes that should have been followed and indeed having to go to the different other structures and consult so that such decisions should have been taken properly. So you have got these divergent views coming from the former minister and the current minister.
Yeah.
But what also appears to be very, very interesting and worrying is the fact that it appears as if there was no proper handover from Cele to Mthunu, so that Minister Mthunu could be able to understand all the necessary issues and the dynamics that are there in the department. But interesting enough is that in the few hours that they met, Cele was able to warn Minister Mthunu that this is a very difficult environment and you should be very, very careful in whatever decisions that you take. And I think that is why we find ourselves in this situation today.
Well, you know, I mean, following that, we obviously also saw Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, you know, apologizing for, you know, uttering some words under oath, retracting that. I wonder what the implications are on that front. But even if we just look at the general structure of the inquiry itself, is it fit for purpose at this point? What is the impact for the inquiry, for other oversight bodies at this point, if we're going to be looking at genuine accountability at large?
There are people who say that the country is divided on this issue. And it appears as if there are those who would be in support of Mkhwanazi and those who would be in support of Mkhulu without checking the actual facts. And I think the commission is here to ensure that we're able to get all the facts out so that whatever has to be decided upon is decided on the basis of the facts that are available on the table. What we're not sure is as to whether Mkhwanazi waited for Xele to present himself to the commission, and after realizing that he appears to be moving towards this direction, then he decided to change the statement that he made. But I think it's important to note that, sorry, I think it's important to note that there could have been times or moments in which some of these issues had to be done in a rush manner, and mistakes do happen. And I think on the basis of the fact that even whilst the commission is still in session and the parliamentary committee is still in session, Mkhwanazi was able to come out and say there is a mistake that I've made and that should be acknowledged. What we don't know is as to whether that was the only mistake that he made and there are many other mistakes that could follow. Yeah. But I think on the basis of what he said in the past and what he said at the Madlanga Commission and at the ad hoc committee, he appears to be firm on many other issues that he raised. And I think, to be fair, we can still take the statements that he made as credible.
Well, there's also the names that have been, relayed as well, right? We're seeing people now along the value chain being implicated: police, courts, prosecutions, judges, intelligence. These are some damning revelations, Big Five that he also referred to. And I wonder what this is also doing, what impact this is going to be having on the ruling party itself, perhaps also just the institutions at large. How would you weigh in on that very quickly, just before we get into another big story that was also that also occurred this week?
I think it's important for the commission and the ad hoc committee to be able to get deeper into these issues, and indeed we're able to get to know the names of the people that are implicated. In any way, the purpose of these sittings is created to ensure that we're able to get all the necessary facts so that we're able to move forward as a nation. And we should expect more other names to come, because when he made his statement in July, General Mkhwanazi indicated that the different key institutions of government are implicated, which is the executive, the parliament, and the judiciary. And of course, when you have these names mentioned and the relationship between politicians and suspicious people or compromised individuals, it quickly tells you that even though Mbalula has not opened the succession discussion in the ANC, there are some within the party that have already started with issues that relate to succession, and indeed the coming elective conference of the ANC in 2027.
Yeah.
On the impact that it could make to the party, it could be a very huge impact, because it talks about the link between the ANC and individuals that appears to be doing wrong things, which are totally unacceptable. And this, for me, would send a lesson that talks to vetting of people that have to join political parties. And you recall that many political parties would accept people joining them, accept donations for party activities,
yep,
and for such individuals to occupy positions. And that has serious implications on the party, because
well, Dr.
some
Levy,
people would see this.
Let me just come in there. I just need to quickly look at another story as well. Yes, there are grave implications. And speaking of implications, we also saw the announcement of South Africa being delisted from the global forum there. We obviously now know this has impacts on business investors, public finance alike. Talk to us about on what basis we should be judging this delisting. Is it a success? Is it just compliance? What are the long-term effects? Perhaps even just accountability at large when we see, former President Jacob Zuma having to repay the state's legal fees, what this also means in terms of public funds and accountability, how practical it is also going to be to get some of the, or attach some of those assets now, given that 60-day period.
When the announcement for grey listing of South Africa was made, President Ramaphosa made a commitment and indeed to say South Africa is going to work very hard in ensuring that we remove from the grey listing, because that talks to non-compliance of certain important things that are supposed to be done, that deals with the money laundering, criminality, and not following all the necessary requirements for financial transactions. But now when you have a situation where the former president is supposed to pay a huge amount of money, it talks to many things. Firstly, it talks to the ability to separate between personal and official activities by former President Jacob Zuma. But it also talks to the law in South Africa that stretches to everyone, and putting an emphasis that all citizens are equal before the law. But what I do see is that this could be a long battle between former President Zuma and the state, but I think there should be a way in which we are able to understand the basics of the law and indeed make sure that we do not do anything that will be seen to be contravening the rules that we have in the public.
Well, Dr. Levy, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot that's happened this week. There are obviously implications also leading forward. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Thank you for your time and for weighing in. I know you were giving us a political, lens, or an understanding of the political lens, given these stories, some of the judgments, the bigger pictures, of course, how this is all going to be implemented and how this is all going to benefit the country at large for improved service delivery and governance and accountability. Thank you for your time, Dr. Levy Ndou.